You can feel it, can't you? If you've been paying attention to world events, you've probably sensed that something fundamental is shifting. The old rules of global power, the ones based on territory and resources, well, they just don't seem to apply anymore. We're in a whole new era, and to make sense of it, we're going to need a new map.
I mean, seriously, why does everything feel so chaotic right now? Alliances that seemed rock solid for decades are starting to fray. Conflicts are popping up in places you'd least expect. If you're feeling kind of confused about the state of the world, you're not alone. And there's a really good reason for it.
And here's the reason. The mental maps we've all been using to understand global power are just broken. They're obsolete. It's like trying to navigate a modern city with a map from the 1950s. The roads have changed, the landmarks are gone, and we're completely lost.
So to really get what's happening, we have to grasp this one huge shift. We are moving from a world of voluntary alliances, think NATO or the Warsaw Pact, to a world of what you might call full-stack sovereignty architectures. I know, that's a mouthful, but let's break down what it actually means.
Okay, so check this out. The old model was all about spheres of influence. Power was simple. Whoever had the biggest army or the biggest economy won. Alliances were like clubs you could choose to join or leave. But the new model? It's about zones of control. Think of it less like a club and more like an operating system, like iOS or Android. It's a whole integrated system of technology, finance, and rules. And in this new game, power isn't about being the biggest. It's about how well your system actually works and holds together. This brings us to a really powerful new way of seeing the world, the Zonal Coherence Model. This is a framework that helps us measure and even predict a nation's stability and influence in this new age of systems and architectures.
So what on earth is zonal coherence? Well, sticking with our analogy, it's basically the quality of a country's operating system. It's how well a nation can process information, get things done, and keep its people's trust, especially when it gets hit by a major external shock, like a pandemic, a financial crisis, or a massive disinformation campaign.
And you know what's incredible? This whole complex idea can be boiled down to a simple, elegant formula. N plus C plus T has to be greater than S. This right here. This is the new equation for sovereignty in the 21st century.
So let's unpack that real quick. N stands for narrative. That's the shared story, the national identity that binds people together. C is for coordination, how well a country's institutions, from its legal system to its infrastructure, actually work together. And T is for trust, the faith the people have in their government and in each other. The sum of those three things has to be stronger than S, the shocks that are guaranteed to hit from the outside world.
So what happens when that equation is flipped, when the shocks are greater than a country's coherence? Well, that's when a nation falls into the enforcement trap. The government starts having to use force to maintain order, but here's the problem. Every time it uses that force, it chips away at the trust and coordination it desperately needs. It's a death spiral, really.
Okay, I know this is all a bit theoretical, so let's ground it in a fascinating real-world example. Let's look at how one country, Canada, is trying to deliberately engineer its own national coherence.
This is a look at their ambitious plan called the North Vector Strategy, and just look at it. It's literally an architecture. It's a plan to connect advanced sensor hubs way up in the Arctic with secure data centers buried deep in the geologically stable Canadian Shield down south. It's a physical and digital reimagining of the country.
Now, the goal here isn't to build a bigger army to compete with the superpowers. Nope. The goal is to boost its own internal coherence, to juice up its N, C, and T so that it becomes an absolutely essential partner to its allies without ever having to force anyone to do anything. This is a masterclass in coherence strategy.
So, how are they actually planning to pull this off? The North Vector Strategy is built on 4 key pillars, and each one is specifically designed to strengthen that N plus C plus T formula. Let's take a look. First up, a data shield. This is all about protecting its digital information, which shores up both public trust and government coordination. Second, the Northern Key. By using sensors to control the Arctic, it reinforces its national narrative as a great northern nation. Third, and this is huge, it's tackling internal free trade to finally boost its economic coordination. And last, compute sovereignty, basically securing its digital borders to protect the whole N plus C plus T stack from outside shocks. And this right here perfectly sums up the whole shift in thinking. The old Canadian plan for the Arctic was to build a big, expensive fuel depot at a place called Nanisivik. It was a logistics-first plan, and it failed. The new plan? Turn Nanisivik into a data and sensor hub. Instead of trying to control the physical territory, they're aiming to control the information about that territory. That is a data-first approach to sovereignty. It's brilliant.
Now, let's go back to that coordination piece. One of the biggest things dragging Canada's coherence down is its own internal fragmentation. And that fragmentation has a real price tag, a massive one. How massive? Try $200 billion.
Yeah, that's the estimated cost every single year of the trade barriers that Canada's own provinces put up against each other. It's a totally self-inflicted wound, a huge anchor dragging down the country's economic coordination, making the whole system weaker against shocks. The North Vector Plan is designed to finally fix that.
So let's zoom back out. What does this all mean for the big picture of global competition? It means the rules of the game have fundamentally changed. I absolutely love this quote from the North Vector white paper because it just nails it. This new kind of power, this new competition, it's not about ideology anymore. It's not about capitalism versus communism. It's about who can design a better, more resilient, more coherent national operating system. It really is about architecture.
And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. In this new century, the winners won't be the nations that can just outmuscle or outspend their rivals. The winners will be the nations that can out-cohere them. Success is now all about internal strength, trust, and coordination. It's about your ability to hold your system together better than the other guy when the pressure is on.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on. As we dive deeper into this new era of architectural competition, I want you to look at your own country through this new lens. Does it have the narrative, the coordination, and the trust it needs to handle the shocks that are coming? In this new game, can your nation out-cohere its rivals?